Ahoy everyone, it's Jeff aka Guscama. Wow, this is gonna be a little bit of a hard one to talk about today. And I think maybe I'm recording this to maybe a bit of personal therapy for me after what I listened to earlier. And so I'm going a bit old school. I'm pub and pint and cigarette and vent. I don't know if it's venting, but getting my thoughts out, I suppose. I'm going to try not to go off on a full-blown rant if I can help it, but I woke up, I sort of woke up in the middle of the night yesterday or whatever, and before I had to go to work, I suppose, and I was just, I had a little perusal on Twitter for a bit, and it just seemed to be, for some reason, along in sort of atheist Twitter, Dr. Robert Price's name was coming up an awful lot, and I was like, what on earth, what's going on, why? And apparently he'd done an interview last night, and it's gone down like a lead balloon. So that's putting it mildly. So I was kind of curious to find out what was going on, and there was a couple of people who quoted some things that he'd said. One of them was Casey, that's, Godless Engineer's wife. Was one of them, and I say, is there a timestamp for this particular bit? Because at the time I just didn't have the time to, I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know, I've got to go get some more sleep for an hour or two before I get up and go to work. So I said, you got a little timestamp on it just so I can see this bit, which Casey kindly provided, and I watched it, and I think my initial thought was, it was quite simply, was yikes. Wow, this is quite a take. I don't. Anyway, I suppose I decided that I'm going to listen to the whole thing when I went to work. I'd have it on in my ears and just listen in, kind of thing. And it is difficult because I had to stop and take a break from listening to it for several times. Not because I was concentrating on work, but more because what I was hearing was not putting me in a very good headspace, in all honesty. And I was just like, wow. No, I haven't really followed too much of Dr. Robert Price over the last few years. I mean, what I really knew about him, I know he's a historian, and I know he's quite well known in atheist circles because he's a Jesus mythicist. I know it's him, and I think Dr. Richard Carrier is the other prominent one. I know the two that I know. So I know that Price has spoken at a lot of atheist conventions and stuff. Now, I'll get this bit out of the way now. I'll say two things. First of all, Dr. Price's work on Jesus mythicism, I think, should stand and fall on its own merits and not over what was said in this interview. That also being said, I'm not a Jesus mythicist. I don't have a horse in the race on it, to be honest with you, but I tend to, from what I read, I tend to go with the majority of historians on this. I don't. So on that respect, though, look, that should let that stand or fall on its own merits or lack thereof, however way you look at it. But I had heard, I had heard that Robert Price had become a little bit of a I don't know, crazy old eccentric or whatever. I'd heard. I knew he was a Trump supporter or whatever. I'd heard that. 'Cause I think I can't remember if it was when he was on my channel or when he was on someone else's channel that I was watching. Tim O'Neill sort of said that about Price. He's a bit of a, he's a bit, he definitely is someone who goes against. Price is definitely someone goes against the grain, and okay. Which I don't have a problem with it in itself or whatever, and okay, he's definitely got some political ideas I wouldn't agree with, but I didn't realise how bad it was with him. Maybe I should have been paying more attention to it, honestly. Possibly I should have been. I didn't realise how abhorrent some of his views are, so I'm not going to do a big breakdown of the whole thing. That would take hours that I don't have, and I want this to be under 20 minutes. I'm going to start with the guy doing the interview. It's a guy called Pine Creek. Now, I'm not going to say too much about him because I don't know this guy. I wasn't even aware of this 24 hours ago. I wasn't even aware this guy existed. So I don't know really enough about him to say, one way or the other but I will say this, I've certainly got an early impression that, yeah, he and I got some different views on things, no two ways about that, but considering that there was allegations that Price may be a racist, or Price may be a sexist, or transphobic, or whatever, I'm going to say this about the opening 10 minutes of Pine Creek's stream before he brought Price in. It did not fill me with a lot of confidence that this guy was going to hold Price's feet to the fire on anything. It really didn't. It gave me bad vibes straight away before Price had even come into the call. When Pine Creek was sort of saying stuff like, there was an opinion ventured about the Will Smith incident with Chris Rock, that if I think John Voight was the example used, but if it had been a white actor, that he'd have been thrown out. And there was I think there were some things said about, should we say, definition of women, which led me to infer that he doesn't think trans women are real women. So, I don't know, but this is just what I inferred from that, and I immediately was like, I'm not filled with any confidence that if Price has got to answer these allegations, that you are going to seriously hold his feet to the fire on anything. And boy, was I proven right about that. He gave him, I'll say he will give him a little bit of pushback on Trump and the election result, and maybe Trump as a person. But then he gave himself a big pat on the back at the end, and saying, I think I planted a little seed there of doubting Dr. Price's mind about, Trump as a character or the election result. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you this, Pine Creek, if you watch this, no, you fucking didn't. No, you fucking didn't. You didn't plant any seed of doubt in that man's mind that he's going to change his mind. But anyway, that's, basically, I felt, for by and large, Price was given an easy ride for that whole thing. But it got... I don't know what bits to focus on. It's like I said, I don't want to do an entire breakdown of this. I'll say I think a bit. Hopefully this video will be up before 7:30 British time tonight. This 31st of March as I'm recording. I believe the Afrohumanist Esther is going to do a stream on this a bit later. I'll definitely be very interested to hear what she has to say. I'll try and remember when uploading this to put a link in the description to that. I don't know quite what she's going to say, but or how she's going to go about it, but I think it's going to be. I think I'll be interested to hear what she has to say about this. But I guess takeaways I got from this, with examples Price was giving on things like feminism and trans rights, I felt with, and I'm not even really touching the stuff on race he said here, that I feel there's, which as I said, I feel like maybe other people might be better off doing that than me. But I wasn't. Again, it didn't leave a good taste in my mouth. But I felt with like feminism, I felt like he was taking a lot of, if they exist, the absolute worst extreme examples, and painting them as the norm of that there's this, you know, there's a feminist agenda to like get rid of all masculinity is toxic, all men should be like women. I don't know. Maybe there are feminists who think that. I don't know, but I certainly don't know any. And I certainly think that the examples Price is giving are if they exist, are the exceptions and not the rule. There's definitely feminists I disagree with. There's a lot of feminists who I'm going to absolutely listen to, because they make some very good and very valid points. But anyway, that's all I'm really going to say too much on that. The trans stuff was really, and again, I don't often talk about trans stuff because I want trans people to have their own voice on this. Sometimes I've said a number of times, I feel sometimes the best way I can be an ally is actually to shut the fuck up, not talk over people, and let them have their own voice. Sometimes that's the best way you can be an ally. But it stunk of the things he said. It was something at one point about children being almost encouraged to transition in school and so on, and by teachers, and any of this, I think any of these things, it's a citation needed, because it just seemed like I don't know, trans agenda stuff or something that he was pushing. And then we got to the January 6th last year, the Capitol riot, which he thinks is a false flag. That he's certainly not the first person to say, but you know, he went further than some of the other people I've heard sort of say that this was actually like a plot by the left or whatever, and that's just insane. It's just fucking insane. That's all I can say on it. It's fucking nuts. Then we got to, you know, obviously talking about things like rioters and whatever, and this is the point I think was really was left my jaw on the floor. And he said this about, actually he said they should be shot on the spot, and I'm like, I can't believe that Pine Creek didn't give him more pushback on that. I really couldn't, actually, because I figured even if you are a right-wing conservative or whatever, what? It beggars, but the whole thing beggars belief to me that this was said, and and I guess reason I'm making this in a way is I'm going to say something now. I said that I don't subscribe to Jesus Mythicism, okay, but I was thinking of maybe trying to reach out to an actual historian who's written about Jesus Mythicism, because just to give them just to hear the other side out. And I'm aware that there was some. I still don't quite know what the issues are, but I'm aware that there's some baggage with Carrier, which definitely put me off of reaching out to him. But Price was someone I was definitely considering. Now I'd heard that he's a slightly bit of an eccentric, crazy old eccentric kind of thing, but as I said, I didn't realise it was this bad. And I'd like to say, though, if I had decided I was going to go ahead and reach out to him, I probably would have done a bit more digging into some of this stuff, and I think I'd have been warned off of it. So I'll definitely say, and he might have very probably well blown me off anyway, because who the hell am I? I'm a tiny little YouTuber. He may have just said, fuck, you're too small for me, whatever. But I certainly won't be extending that invite to Price now. Couple more things for us. How do I feel about Price, whether he should be platformed or not? I am not in the business of telling people who they can and cannot platform. Up to you. That's generally my general outlook on things. That being said, so I think I've made that clear. I certainly wouldn't be platforming him. I certainly won't appear on it. I wouldn't appear on anything with him, and I probably will, and I will not watch anything he's in, and I will not go to any event where he's been invited to speak at. That's me personally. And I certainly looked all the people who've come out today and said, I will no longer share a platform with this guy. I'm kind of with you on that, and I totally understand why. But I'm not going to necessarily go and tell people not to platform this guy, but just don't expect my support if you do. It's kind of where I am with that. Okay, I think I'm going to sum up, because I feel this is almost just more personal therapy for me to get this out, really, and just say this stuff out loud. Because it was a bit of a difficult thing to listen to. I won't be linking that video in the description. You want to go and find that interview and watch it, knock yourself out, but I'm not going to send you the link. You go find that for yourself. Okay, Jeff, aka Godless Scummer. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my pint, chill for an hour or two, then go home and get some rest and get back to the grindstone and for work in the morning. Okay, salute.